Welcome to the podcast where we speak truth, illuminate power, and fully embody who the fuck we are. This is the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. We are all about spiritual evolution, spiritual growth, talking about the things that may be controversial, even some triggering concepts, but we are all about expansion. Come on in and join us as we reclaim and recenter ourselves in the power of who we really are. We are the Light Warriors, and welcome to the revolution. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast, episode 102. In this episode, oh my gosh, I'm diving into the transitional energies that we're in right now and what is being called forward of us through the collective and what we're up against and the shitstorms that we're going through and how we can maneuver through them. What this means for us as a collective, how it's showing up in the field of awareness. And you might get some ass kicking in this podcast episode like we normally do. Isn't that true? So I look forward to feeling into this. I share a couple of vulnerable stories with you as well as we move through this episode, because everything is about transparency and everything for us is about this next level vulnerability and this rawness and realness that we're really calling into the field. And it's time. It really is time. So with no further ado, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast, episode 103. No, it's not 103. 102. Oh, that's where my brain is at. I'm already in the next episode already. That's crazy. Okay, 102. Here you go, guys. Well, everybody, a new episode, a new energy, and here we are inside episode 102. And it kind of feels weird for me to actually say like 100, like that we're at that point in the game. And, you know, I've been toying with a lot of stuff in my life. We're at a really pivotal transition in the energy field as to our movements forward, as to deciding how we want to show up in life, deciding to break the cycles, deciding to change who we are, deciding to make the shifts in our world. And we are at this pivotal time in the space of this movement. And it's coming up hot. And when I say that, it means like it's coming up deep, it's coming up hot, it's coming up, like we've got to breathe through this, like shit is hitting the fan. Tons of shit is hitting the fan. In all in beautiful, expanded ways. We're playing right now in this landscape of a duality shift, and we're watching a ton of separation happen through the world. And some of us are really feeling that in our lives because there's separation happening from people in our world, from the way we show up in life, how we used to do things, separation from our past selves, and all of this space of movement, of time. And I wanted to pop on today because I've been in massive contemplation. I've been in a massive movement of energy. Over the last year, I feel like I've rebirthed like 15 times. Like I can't even begin to express to you what that actually feels like for me. And I'm coming off of, so it was supposed to be a 5-day fast. I broke the fast at 100 hours because I was just, my body was like, we need some support. And normally when I've fasted in the past, usually by day 3, I kick up and then I have all this energy and everything's great and everything moves. This time it was different. Day 3, like I did have energy inside the space, but yesterday when I was closing out day 4, it was like I was dizzy. I could barely function and I didn't have any calls or anything planned. Yesterday, technically, was Thursday on this fast, which was actually amazing to help support. But I couldn't sleep last night. Like things were, it was just so weird. Like, and there's a lot of density that we're working through right now in our physical forms. And even thinking about it, the 2 women that I was doing this fast with as well felt the exact same thing yesterday. And I'm like, this is weird because every single one of us has a different constitution. Every single one of us has a different level of health. Every single one of us reacts differently to life in general, but the energy is a thread. And I went, this is starting to show up. So what I wanted to breathe into today is the energy of transition and the energy of us allowing ourselves to transition. Because we're at this pivotal place in the experience, we're about to go through some really intense planetary alignment and shiftings of energies in the world, that this next half of the year is going to be intense for a lot of people. And if you are not doing your work and you are not stepping up and owning your power and moving through and healing your stuff and acknowledging the things and taking personal responsibility in your life, this is going to fucking backfire on you. And this is going to be the most intense 6 months of your life. And I don't want to scare people about that. So those of you listening to this later on, maybe you'll be like, holy shit, she was right. Or maybe you're going to be like, totally didn't happen for me, which is amazing. But there's a lot of people in the world over the next 6 months that this is going to tighten up and squeeze on. And I'm at the brinks of this pathway, meaning I am like almost right through the ceiling, that none of this is going to affect me in a certain way, that I'll be able, I can see it, I can feel it, I can hold it, I understand what it is, that consciously is actually running. But now the sovereignty, security, it needs to match this energetic capacity. And I've got like maybe a month to really step into this. And I'm in a battle just like you guys are. I'm in a battle with the old version of Colleen and the version of Colleen that's like, it all work out. And it will all work out. But more so airy fairy Colleen than the deeply rooted warrior Colleen. And this battle is ever present in my field. And it's been waiting and waving and moving and maneuvering on me for a while. And it's calling us forward. It's calling us in. It's like right at this precipice. And I can feel the wave of it. And the choices I make every day align me in either staying or going backwards, because we can never actually stay still. That is what the earth experience is. We cannot stay still. We can be in peace, which then elevates in energy, but we cannot stay still. It's actually technically not available in the physics realm of scientific like technology. And if you actually think about that, you're like, yeah, that's true. So if I'm going this way, then I am moving backwards, or I'm staying in the shitstorms, or I'm creating more shitstorms, or I'm over here in the space of things. And when I make this decision every day to keep stepping up here, to do the embodiment practices, to do my visualizations, to step up and meditate, to really dive into spirit, to really listen, to connect in, to maneuver stuff forward, to feel the aspect of this, then this allows me to keep moving forward in this expansion, to keep moving forward in this availability, to keep up on the energetic codings that's dropping into the field for us to be in awareness of, for us to move through, for us to be linked into. And this is the conversation today of transition that I desire to have with you, is like, where in your life right now are you resisting the shift? Are you resisting the change? Are you not fully stepping into this because you're scared, because you don't feel worthy, because you doubt your abilities? There's so many reasons why people don't make the move. And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you've got this on your ear, or you're watching this video, or you're cooking dinner and doing your thing, and this is playing out in the landscape of stuff, it's like, take a breath for a minute and actually ask yourself this really potent question. Where are you fucking avoiding the work? Where have you not stepped into the space? Where are you completely dismantling this energy in your field and actually pretending like it's not happening? Where in your life are you avoiding? Where in your life are you completely resisting? Where in your life do you keep reverting back to the old self? So coming out of this water fast, I like to drink alcohol every so often. I like to have a glass, of mimosas. I like to have a margarita. I like to have a glass of wine, and espresso martinis are like my, just the juiciness that feels so aligned in my body. And you may be like, seriously, Colleen? I don't do it every day. It's not a thing that I do all the time, but it's a thing sometimes that calls me. Like, I have a battle sometimes that's like, let's just go over to Mosaic and have an espresso martini and, eat sushi at the bar and like be all suave. And then the other part of me is like, how about you don't drink the espresso martini and you actually do this instead for your health, and you stay in this pathway over here? And I'm in this massive battle of this energy. Now, I can go without alcohol for long periods of time. It's not like my mental capacity to hold something and a commitment to myself is on point. I've finished 75 hard. I've done all the things. Like I just got through 100 hours of not eating. Like, I can do stuff like this and make a decision. But it's in these moments of time that I am being triggered, that I am being pushed up against stuff, that I'm like, but I kind of really feel like I need to dive into like the bouginess of going to have an espresso martini and eating sushi off the bar and being all like whatever in the space of things. And that fuels part of me. That was also a North American thing I used to do often. I'd go maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks to like the keg. I'd drive into the keg. Or when I lived in Aurelia, I would drive over to State and Maine, most likely, and I'd go sit at the bar, have a couple glasses of wine, eat a couple appetizers, read my book from the bar, like on my phone, and do my thing. And that was a connection that I had to myself. And the bartenders at the keg knew me, which is kind of sad, like, and whenever I'd walk in, they'd be like, do you want the same? And I'd be like, no, let's try a different wine today, and it's like, and some days I'd have a Grey Goose martini and I would sit there, but it was like this deeper rooted connection to an expansion that I desired. But I'm like in this conversation with myself today going, do you really need alcohol to expand? And the answer is absolutely not. However, the old version of me says yes. So I'm playing in this toying energy of this new field that I'm moving through that's allowing me to see this, that's allowing me to discover this, it's allowing me to step into this space. And this is one aspect of the many aspects of my life that is showing up right now. I am knee deep in one of the major, major lessons of my world. And I realize it. I am in awareness of it. I see it. While I was walking the beach yesterday with my girlfriend, a scenario dropped in and I went, wow, I've been cycling for a long time in this. And I was talking about a house that I used to live in and something that was transpiring for me there. And I went, fuck. And that was probably 14. No, that was 10 years ago. No, that was maybe 11 years ago. So 12 years, 13 years in the same fucking cycle. God, and I'm like, shit. And it's like, I see it though. I see it. I see it every day. I see it. And I'm like, okay, what is it? What do I need to do to shift this? How do I bring it in? How do I move the energy? How do I continue to trust? How do I continue to surrender? How do I continue to move this through? How do I move blah, 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 blah. And I'm in the space of, I get it. I get it. I get it. I see it. I'm not hiding from it. I'm not running from it. I'm not pretending like it's not there anymore. Because the old Colleen used to do that. I used to pretend like it wasn't there. I used to pretend like everything's okay. And it wasn't okay. And until the day I took ownership that it wasn't okay, nothing could change. Nothing could change. And then that day, when I actually took ownership of it, everything started to open up. Possibilities, opportunities, ways to shift, ways to change. And now I'm at the tail end of this. Like this moment in time, the next 2-3 days for me, are the pivotal determination, deterrence, I don't even know what the fucking word is, are going to show me that I've either moved through and shifted the whole entire pattern, or I keep playing in it. And I get to choose today how I show up in that. And I get to choose tomorrow. I have till Sunday is what I'm being told. And I'm like, okay. And I work well under pressure. I really do. I work well under the system of that energy. But I'm like, how do I continue to lean in and trust? Trust that everything is happening because I'm taking action in alignment, that I'm moving it through. And I do trust. But I've taken a long time to get here. And so we talk about transitions now in the space of everything that we're moving through and how this is showing up in the world at this moment of time. What side do you desire to play on? The past version side of you? Now, you could take some of these key elements with you, of course, and the memories and the energies and some of the people and everything, they can come. Or are you being called, to move into this space of like this beautiful, beautiful expansion? You can stay where you are, which is technically an oxymoron because you can't really. So you're only going to be creating more of what you don't want if you don't maneuver yourself forward. That's the deal. That's how this works. I don't make up the rules. That's part of the actual mechanism of this earth experience. Or you can decide today or yesterday or tomorrow that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get over here. And you're willing to get over your shit, and you're willing to address your shit, and you're willing to have the hard conversations, and you're willing to step into the space, and you're willing to be vulnerable. Because in being vulnerable is where the actual key lies. In being vulnerable is where everything changes. In being vulnerable is where the actual hammer hits the nail. And it fucking sucks some days, and it's raw, and it's real, and it's deep, and it's dark, and it's sloppy and messy. I just see myself eating like a burger and like see the juice from the burger dropping from my mouth. I haven't really eaten too much substance yet. Apparently I'm hungry, But it's like, this is the path. This is what we need to go through. This is why we showed up and we're here. And we're not here to hide, and we're not here to pretend like it's not happening, and we're not here to play small. We're here to deal with this and move through it and light the fuck up. You know, one of my mentors in the group I'm a part of made a post this morning. He's like, I want to remind you, you are the fucking beacon and you are the lighthouse and you are the light. Don't fucking forget it. Own that shit. And I pretty much said it exactly how he said it. And that is the truth. But you cannot fully illuminate holding on to the past fucking baggage and holding on to the versions of you that are no longer serving your space. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it's like, I desire you to take a breath in and feel that. Close your eyes for a second and just breathe. It's like, take a breath in. Feel that in your field. Yeah. Yeah, see, something just shifted for somebody. Right there. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And you know it already, because if you haven't dealt with this, or you're skimming the surface, or you're thinking about, I said to my girlfriend yesterday, I'm still thinking about my ex-boyfriend. And I haven't told the story online here in the podcast yet. Some of you know because you are in tight circles of mine that, you're part of collectives that I've spoken into, but it's like, I haven't spoken to him in 7 months. And he went through a drastic health scare that I didn't find out about until I found out from an acquaintance that doesn't even know him. And I was like all in fucking ego spam, fucking destitute back in February when I found this out. And we still haven't talked. I wrote him a letter back in April that I mailed while I was in Canada. So I know that he got it, didn't get lost in Costa Rican mail. And I still haven't heard from him. And I said to my girlfriend yesterday while we were walking on the beach, I go, I haven't heard from him. And she just went. And I went, I know. But there's parts of me that still thinks about him. Not every day, but every second day probably. And I don't waste a lot of time there. I don't drop in and be like, I wonder what he's doing or any of that. I just honor. And I say to the version of him that drops into my field, the book is coming. I'm writing a book about our life together called The Twin Flame Journey. And it's going to be raw and real and authentic. And I'm going to lay it all out from my perspective and point of view. And I'm going to step up into the space to do that and to just speak up into the field of that, because so many people in their relationships right now, especially in the twin flame energy, it's fucking heated and hot. And it is like crazy out there. And I just desire you to understand that even when we let people go, it doesn't mean that they get released right away. The cord's been cut energetically, so I don't need to hold on any longer. I didn't cut the cord. The surgeon did from his heart. I've never been able to cut the cord. I've been able to cover the cord a bit and to be able to dissipate the cord and turn the cord down, but twin flame energy, that's a contract. Our cords have been cut. And I went, wow. So whether I ever speak to him again in this lifetime, I'll send him the book. Maybe I'll get a call back from him then. It's hard to say, but I don't need it anymore. 5 months ago, I needed that. And I talked myself off a ledge. I could have called his mom. I could have called his son. I could have called anybody in his life. I still have relationships with them to some degree. I could have called anyone to find out what the fuck has been going on and why didn't anyone call me? But I kept hearing spirit say, leave it alone. And I did, even though it was one of the hardest things I had to do. I did. But this is a part of the transition, of the rebirthing, of the letting go. Some people in our life are not coming with us. They're not. They're going to play in their own field of energy. And doesn't mean that we don't love them still. And doesn't mean that we don't wish them well. It just means they're not coming with us. So the quicker we understand this, and the more deeply rooted we get within ourselves, the easier this whole thing gets. The easier this whole thing gets. So I just wanted to remind you of that today. That was the message dropping in. I feel like I'm complete in the space of this energy. But I just want you to really realize that you are not alone in this. If you're listening to this and you're like, Colleen, I'm just not sure how or anything, send me a message. Let's chat. For those of you guys that don't know, I do a lot of this one-to-one work. I do a lot of activation, spiritual work. I activate spiritual gifts. I do a lot of light language activation transmissions. I do a lot of cool shit in the work I do. Past life exploration sessions. We do a lot of healing work, Akashic records. Like I do a plethora of things in the field. So if you're feeling this and you're like, shit, I'm right there and I need some support, or you want to just talk it through, send me a DM on Instagram. Grab in the show notes my Instagram link and come and find me, because you don't have to do it alone anymore. This is no longer a thing that you need to do by yourself, or that you need to stay under any longer, or that you have to keep like, this is just my life. I'm just sacrificing myself. My life will never get better. Fuck that bullshit. Everything is possible. We are conscious creators creating our life every single moment of the day. Every single moment of the day. You no longer have to be in the frame of mind that you've been playing within if you've been playing small. You get to choose today, every day, to step in. So let's step the fuck in. I'll see you guys all in episode 103 as we move through some other kind of energy then. Have a great one, everyone.
Well, we know that you like the podcast potentially because you're still here listening to this actual audio at this moment of time. So all that we're going to ask is, can you please just help us share it out? Take some friends, share it with a friend, help us spread the word, because each of us moving through together as we collaborate, as we move within this light warrior movement, helps each of us illuminate in lights. And we're just so grateful. I'm so grateful. The guests are always so grateful too, that you help us spread the word, that you help us really step into this space to be able to own all of our pathway. And we are just so grateful to have you here. And thank you again for listening.